big segment, a big story segment on the AM show. But before we get into it, Ghana, get ready for the biggest giveaway from Syntex Tank. Syntex is giving 15 communities free water. And this is to say thank you, Ghana, for making us the #1. Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Did you know that? Did you also know that Syntex comes in so many colors and sizes and was the first to come out with inner white layer tanks? So when it's not Syntex, forget about it. Now, if you're a community and you want to benefit from the Syntex free water giveaway, just log on to your social media handles at Syntex Ghana and nominate your community. The more you nominate, the better chances of Syntex coming to your community. And remember, it's SINTEX, Syntex Tank. Not be any tank be tanku. The correct tank be Syntex Tank. Syntex Tank, air strong, air tough. Ben, what are we doing this morning?
Well, we're getting into the conversation when it comes to persons with disabilities, and the Center for Disability Entrepreneurship and Public Policy has been calling on the public to extend support to them, persons with disabilities, ahead of the December 7 general elections. Now, they are focusing on the importance of inclusivity. They must be included, compassion and participation in strengthening Ghana's democracy. The question is, what can we all do for such persons on election day? And what can the system, government, the EC, and others do to facilitate their voting process? Well, joining us for a conversation, we have Andrew Ni Okaikwei. He is founder of the Center for Disability Entrepreneurship and Public Policy. He joins the conversation. Andrew, a very good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning to you and to your listeners.
It's a pleasure having you join the conversation this morning. First off, what triggered this latest... Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Andrew?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Great, great.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me too?
Okay, Andrew, you would have to listen to me on the phone. If you're using any other gadget, you will have a delay in hearing me. So listen to me on the phone alone. Hello, Andrew?
Sure.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. I was just asking, what triggered this latest push for inclusivity among others when it comes to our brothers and sisters, persons with disabilities?
Most importantly, holding free and fair elections contributes to fulfillment of rights of individual to political participation, and which is of equal importance. And per our act as a country and as any civilized society, the process of voting is critical to persons' participation in the democratic process. And for people with disability, accessibility of polling stations or polling places or voting technologies, as well as other aspects of the voting process, can impact on the ability of individuals to exercise their civic rights. Right. So in this regard, it is important that barriers to voting can take many interrelated forms: social, political, physical, and even economic. So the impact of poverty and disability on voter participation is something that is well documented. So these are some of the barriers that comes into play when it comes to people with disability exercising their civic rights.
I see. And of course, we are at the very doorstep of another election. But I would just ask you, so far, even before we come and focus on the elections, in terms of your daily lives, what you do, work and all of that, how much would you say over the last few years has been done in terms of aiding persons with disability?
Well, to be very honest, I think that looking even just within the sub-region, I wouldn't say Ghana hasn't done much. I would say we've come far. But looking at us as a country, we could have done better. Why do I say we could have done better? We have situations where accessibility is still a problem for us. We have a situation where public places are still not accessible to persons with disability. And even if they do, you have situations where you have high-rise buildings that they are not lift-equipped. And even when they are lift-equipped, sometimes there's malfunctioning. And even places that you even have ramps for wheelchair, the wheelchairs don't conform to international standards. You have situations where some ramps are so steep. Yes, they want to make the effort to make the particular infrastructure accessible, but they do not conform to standards. So I will say that efforts have been made, thanks to the Ghana Federation for the Disabled and other disability groupings for their advocacy work, but we could have done better.
And it's interesting because he was talking about the Disability Act in there as well, Sweetie Abochi, and what it says, a lot of which we are actually not, implementing.
Yeah. What I want to find out from you, Mr. Okaikwei, even before we get to what you would need this election, in terms of the manifestos and the promises that the presidential aspirants have been making in the lead up to the December 7th polls, which of them do you think really meets you at the point of your needs? Have you seen any policies maybe that you think is...
Well,
no, go ahead.
Well, all the policies that all the political parties have mentioned, all the policies that the political parties have actually reiterated, they are all in consonant with the Act. They are in the Act. The only important thing here is it's not being fully implemented. And I must say that all the political parties have made good pledges when it comes to the issues of disability. It's now left with the implementation. The implementation is the most important thing. Going window shopping is different from buying.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to the implementation as they have all promised in their manifestos.
Okay, so let's talk about the elections then. What are you doing as an organization to sensitize your members in terms of also creating awareness of how important it is that they also go out and vote? And then we'll talk about what you really need to help you get that.
Well, a few weeks ago, we had the opportunity as a center in another forum to have a dialogue with the Electoral Commission. And we were of the view that it would have been beautiful if the Electoral Commission had extended the special voting for persons with disability. It would have been very fantastic. It makes it easier for them. It also shows our commitment as a country to the issues of disability. Moving forward as a center, we have engaged other people, persons with disability in diverse forms, the visually impaired, the hearing impaired, the physically disabled. And we have given the guidelines for the election or the code of conduct. We have educated them enough. We have a team also on the ground, particularly in concentrated areas like Ewutu Senya, who they are going to support people with disability on the D-Day, even though the Electoral Commission have also made provisions. It would have been more beautiful if they have extended the special voting to persons with disability.
Right. Now that that's over and we have just 3 days to go to the polls, what do you need as a center or as persons with disabilities? What do you need to aid you to also cast your ballot so that the country don't disenfranchise you?
We need accessibility without barriers on voting day, which the Electoral Commission have assured.
Let's be as detailed as possible.
With accessibility.
Mr. Okaikwei, if you can hear me, let's be as detailed as possible. Exactly what do you mean by assistance and all that? What do you need? In the simplest terms possible. What do
accessibility, you need? Access to infrastructure.
Right.
Access to polling stations. Yes, access to movement. So the scope of accessibility when it comes to disability is very wide, of course. But when we're referring to accessibility on a day as this, we are referring to access to polling stations and access to infrastructure. Because you go to some of the polling stations and we have staircases that persons with disability cannot access. So we ask for assistance from officers and even to the generality of the good public.
In terms of helping you get to the polling stations to cast your ballots, that's what you need. Are there any other arrangements in terms of braille ballots? Because there are people who cannot see, but their votes are important. What else in that regard do you need? Do you have those? I should ask.
I think the EC have also made provision for the...
Okay.
Yes, they have those. That is also in place.
Okay. Well, Ben, it looks like some provisions have been made, but primarily he's talking about accessibility. So Electoral Commission, we, the voting population, helping them get to the polling stations so that they can also cast.
I mean, if you consider that sometimes they have to go and in some instances they will not be allowed to progress, they have to queue like most people would, it becomes problematic. But Andrew, I just want to find out, you made a point about your being added to the special voting exercise so that you could have had more laxity to actually go and cast your ballot. Do you mean that, for example, we have, thanks to some errors on ballot papers, the eastern and western regions will be voting in that special vote tomorrow. But are you saying that on Monday, you would have loved it if you had been added to the special voting? Is that what you were saying?
Exactly.
I see. Is it something, a request that has come up in the past, maybe a request that was brought before the Electoral Commission or maybe members of Parliament? Did that request come anytime before, or is it now that you're pushing for this?
I think, unfortunately, it's too late in the day, but this request have been pushed to the Electoral Commission, and we're looking forward to that being done in the near future. This request was made to the representative, I would say a few weeks ago, not even a month, and we're looking forward to opportunities like that in future.
All right. Now, currently, like you say, it's a little too late. You've enumerated a number of things that at least can be done to help you. What engagements, beyond what we are doing here to support the cause, what engagements are you having? It's still not too late to ensure that maybe the EC and others can be sensitized, you know, polling agents, Electoral Commission officials and all that can be sensitized to help when persons with disabilities come forward. What is the move from your end?
The Electoral Commission, in as much as I'm aware, have interacted or have engaged disability groupings, Ghana Federation for the Disabled, Ghana's Blind Union. They've engaged stakeholders in this particular question that you have put into me, and the concerns have been presented to them. So we want to believe that all these requests that the disability organizations have put before the Electoral Commissions will be adhered to.
I see. How long ago were these engagements held? Do you know?
I think this has been a continuous process. In every election, during the district elections, all these engagements went through, and Madam Abigail Nutako was the lead person from the Electoral Commission, and it's been ongoing, and we're looking forward that we have an excellent outcome.
All right, so I have two final bits for you. One, on a scale of 1 to 10, how sure are you that come the 7th of December, the process is going to be extremely easy for persons with disabilities so that you don't go through unnecessary stress merely trying to cast your ballot. How sure, how positive are you that things will go well on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the highest and 1 is the lowest?
It's going to go well. But this comes back to the quest for special voting. You know, a lot of people with disability who have serious mobility issues, because of sometimes the queue, because of sometimes the feeling of they feeling for lack of better word, being like a nuisance during voting time. They sometimes will not want to vote at all because they don't want a situation where their families would have to go through the struggle for them to go and vote, or they go to the police station and they probably have to distract for their purposes. So these are some of the things why we putting in a request for special voting. But be it that it may, I believe that we persons with disability, we are going to have a smooth opportunity to vote in this process.
So your confidence level on 1 to 10 is what?
Pardon me?
So your confidence level that things will go as smoothly as you say for you, I asked on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you? 10 is the highest, 1 is the lowest.
I'll say 6.
You would say 6. Okay. I don't know whether there's anything else you'd like to ask. I'd wanted you to give us a message of peace before you take leave of us.
But before you do that, do you know the turnout for persons with disability in last election? Do you know how many people? I understand that there's about 2 million. That is according to the 2021 Ghana Statistical Service report. There are about 2 million persons with disability. Do you know how many people were able to cast their vote last election year? In a way,
you are right with your statistics from the Statistical Service. But unfortunately, less than that, or less than what is projected out there voted. Not even 1 million people with disability voted, and I stand to be corrected by the Electoral Commission because of sometimes these barriers that we have talked about, accessibility issues and all that. But like I said, there is hope for the future. It's a learning process, and we need to motivate people with disability that it is their civic responsibility to vote in every election, because their participation in the election determines policies that will affect their lives and their children and beyond, and also coming back to possible people with disabilities in the future.
Right. I mean, this is important because of 2 million or over 2 million people. That's a huge percentage of the voting population that should not be disenfranchised. So let's try as much as possible to aid them come December 7th. We can get to your peace message.
I just wanted to chip in before that. So if you look at the last election, of course, the 2 million there would not be, not all of them qualified to vote. So it's the whole number. If you look at this, 2020, a total number of 64,966 persons living with disability were captured on the voters' register. That was one of the registration exercises. So the number of those who actually vote is much less than the total population of persons with disability. But finally, Andrew, what would be, I mean, it's an interesting picture because in Ghana, every electoral year, we sort of fight anew for peace. But what would be your message of peace to us before you take leave of us?
To, first of all, my brothers and sisters in the disability community and their families, the most important thing is we should look out first for Ghana. We must prove to Ghanaians that we are people with determination. And our determination in every facet of our lives and our civic responsibility, we will give birth to what we are looking for as a country and for the policies that the new government puts in place. They should therefore look out for a government with the best manifesto for persons with disability. And the most important thing of all is, and to the generality of Ghanaians, is we have only one Ghana, and anything that we do to mar the peace of our country will project us as a failed country. And we need to prove to the entire world that we care for people with disability. We don't want to create accidents during voting time to create more people with disability to add up to the sheet. Therefore, let us vote peacefully and let us vote as a country that has come very far. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining the conversation. And we all together will be working so that come election day, you can have a smoother process. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. That is Andrew Ni Okaikwei, founder, Center for Disability
Thank you, and you
Entrepreneurship.
have a good morning.
You do same. He is with the Center for Disability Entrepreneurship and Public Policy. That was a pretty interesting conversation today.
We unintentionally sometimes forget that there are people living with disability who are as important as citizens as the rest of us. So let's do our best. If you see someone at the polling station who needs help, please just offer the best help that you can offer, so they can also cast their vote.
Let's also add this. Sometimes you go into the queue and you see elderly people and nobody is paying attention to them. Let's be sensitive. Senior citizens, persons with disabilities. Let's be kind. Pregnant women, you know. Or it may even be the person is able-bodied but is sick at that time, but is just trying to. Let's be charitable and let these people do theirs. The rest of us who can stand and do it, let's be charitable to them. Right. You want to stay with us. There's still so much coming your way on the AM show, but we take a break and we return with more.